This is your case study instructional tutorial. The purpose of case studies is to allow us to apply what we've learned over the course of this semester. Case studies are used in school counselor ed, school psychology, teacher education, special education, as a way for us to apply what we've learned to a theoretical, somewhat real life situation. So for the purposes of this particular case study, you will review the assignments that led up to this case study. Everything that we've learned thus far has an application to the questions that are asked at the end of this case study. You will incorporate these individual assignments and use them as a basis of your foundation to write about your understanding and growth in terms of ELL students in the mainstream classroom environment with respect to this case study. You will choose a pretend ELL student from the ELL student profile document uploaded in this module. Pretend this student and students like him or her are the ones being discussed in the case study. So you should always consider and include your ELL student in this case study, as you are part of this situation, as is your ELL student. Your responses will be well thought out and make valid, reasonable connections to you and to school counseling or school psychology. You must respond to each of the question prompts following the actual story case part of this study, using complete grammatically correct sentences. Please, 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 please do not write like you speak. We are professionals, and in the situation of this case study, we need to I can't hear you speak professionally, so you have to write professionally. However, for the purposes of this case study, because I want you to put yourself into it, you are role-playing through writing, use I and not the teacher, the school counselor, not the school psychologist, and you to refer to yourself. When you are speaking about your role and what you would do to promote certain issues of English language learner concern, we're talking about I would do this. I would suggest this. I suggest da 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 da. You will tie in information from each of the chapters and any additional materials that supported this course. To the best of your ability, you will incorporate the language of working with English language learners, such as second language acquisition, culture shock, verbal and nonverbal communications, communicative competencies. Do not just define the words. I don't want definitions per se. I know the definitions. You have to pretend that the rest of the committee may not be as aware as you are, other than the ELL teacher, of course, may not be as aware of as you are of these kinds of terminologies that impact second language learners, especially with respect to assessment. You must have a minimum of 5 references. APA 6 is the reference style that you must use. I want you to say specific research-based evidence with respect to this case study. If you are going to quote something, you only can quote once per page. If you still don't understand what APA is, you need to either A, go to the Writing Center at Noss Hall on this campus, or Google it. And again, for the purposes of this case study, a stakeholder is a person who is directly or indirectly impacted by this situation. Your job is to identify the key people who would be directly and indirectly impacted in this case study. So, starting here is the story or the case for which you are going to be answering the questions that follow this case study. Read this thoroughly. This particular case study has to do with assessment procedures. You're going to be part of that process. You're going to make suggestions and recommendations. Scroll down a little bit. The focus question, or the essential or big picture question, is this: what really should the committee recommend? Well, in order to be able to make a solid, firm, evidence-based recommendation, you first must identify the issues. Answer all 5 of these questions in complete, grammatically correct professional language. Then we must consider all perspectives. Again, answer all of these questions in grammatically correct, professional, evidence-based sentences. Then you need to identify relevant professional knowledge. Okay? Thinking about this, again, you might have to do a little research here on your own, all right? But use the text and the materials that are also embedded in this course, okay? For those of you who actually bought the other book that was initially required for this course, the Fundamentals of Teaching English to Speakers of Other Languages, the big blue book, this is a great resource to use, particularly for this particular section. If you don't have it, that's okay. But either way, use the resources at hand. Again, grammatically correct, evidence-based, professional language here. And then considering possible actions and consequences. Yet again, grammatically correct, professional language here. All right. You will notice also up in the module, uploaded in the module, is the ELL student profile list. You can pick whomever you want to consider. I just want you to get it in your head while you're writing this and as you're thinking about this. Oh, I have this ELL student. What am I going to do? How am I going to advocate for better assessment for him or her? Additionally, you will see the rubric for this case study. And third, you will see this tutorial, and then you will see the Dropbox. This particular assignment is due to the D2L Dropbox by April 27th at 11:59 p.m. Thank you and have a wonderful week. Bye-bye.